What's up, guys? It's Robert Rule of 2 Review, and today Ubisoft finally teases us with the sequel we've been waiting for. Okay, well today is a really good day because I have nothing but news about games that I am super pumped and excited for to talk about. It's a pretty wonderful, beautiful thing. This never really happens this way, so I'm just going to get right to it. Alrighty, well, my voice is back today, which is good. That last video, my voice was just cracking like a teenage boy, and that's just no good for anybody. So luckily, I'm past that hump, and I'm ready to go. So the news that I'm really excited about today is that apparently Ubisoft is finally starting to really talk and consider Beyond Good and Evil 2. Holy freaking crap. So hopefully most of you guys out there are familiar with this game. This was a 2002, I think 2003 release for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox by Ubisoft. The creator and director of the game was Michel Ancel, who was also known for creating Rayman way back in the day, circa 1995 or 96, I want to say, on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, and the Atari Jaguar. All of those versions I played and owned. That game is just one of my favorites. Beyond Good and Evil came out, like I said, 2002. I'm pretty sure it was 2003. So I'm going to go with 2003. Over a decade ago, one of the most well-reviewed games of its time. I remember that the year prior at that 2002 E3, that game was voted the game of show. There was a lot of hype and buzz for that game. It released. Everyone who reviewed it loved it. Everyone who played it loved it. And it was one of those really well-publicized kinds of commercial flops. It was one of those things that made no sense. Similar kind of to the Dreamcast, where that was a system that everyone loved and was a fantastic piece of hardware for the time. And yet somehow it didn't end up selling well enough, and Sega had screwed the pooch, for too many years in a row, and ended up kind of going out of the hardware business because of the Dreamcast, even though everybody loved it. Same with Beyond Good and Evil. Now, Beyond Good and Evil, for me, it has a very special place in my heart. One of my all-time favorite games. I can probably almost certainly say a top 10 of all time for me. It was just a wonderful adventure. It built this really great world at a time where world building to that level was rare and relegated only for the most part to the Zelda games and also kind of the Grand Theft Auto games at the time. But the difference is that Beyond Good and Evil, of course, was set in a very fantastical world where you play as a character named Jade, who was a reporter, kind of helping uncover a lot of political intrigue and mystery going on with the way the government was treating people and creating like DNA clones. And you had this fantastic sidekick character named Paige, who was this pig. A lot of this stuff is hopefully very well known to you. It used very early on, but still excellently implemented stealth mechanics and a really cool concept where you were literally taking photos as you kind of teamed up with this underground sort of vagabond rebel group who are trying to expose the government and its leader, whose name now escapes me. It's been a while. Its leader, who is kind of, overseeing this whole thing with, what it's doing with people, cloning and turning them into things. And you have to literally go and take photographs, both of like the indigenous creatures and environments around you, and you sort of get, upgradable experience points for that, as well as, you're basically gathering evidence via taking photos that's going to expose the government, like I said, and you end up getting recruited by this group. And it was such a great, awesome idea. The world felt so fantastic and believable. It wasn't visually mind-blowing, but the style was fantastic. So that's what sold you on it. The voice acting was wonderful. Jade was an amazing, relatable character. She was a really strong person. The fighting mechanics were awesome using this bow staff thing she had. It was both incredibly simple and remarkably deep at the same time. It was just did all these things, and so, I could gush about it forever, as you could probably tell. Long story short, I loved it. Hopefully, if you've played it, you loved it, or at least have heard of it. It is available on the on Xbox Live, and I want to say PSN, the HD re-release, I should say, of the game. You should be watching footage of that now. I figured it was appropriate to kind of get some more footage of it and let you sort of watch it as I talk about the news about Beyond Good and Evil 2. So the basic gist of what's going on with Ubisoft is that Michel Ancel has actually started to say, as well as the rest of Ubisoft, that they're considering what their next big game is going to be. And he basically came right out and said it. Thank God, no beating around the bush. he came out and said Beyond Good and Evil seems like what it is we should make. And there's a lot of factors to that, so I'm going to get into that in a moment, but I'm going to read the quote here. The last big game that they made, I guess other than Assassin's Creed, was Rayman Legends, of course. And that game is amazing, by the way. The Wii U version is definitely where it's at for the most part because it was designed that way, and the gamepad functionality for that makes it a wholly new, unique experience. And you can tell the game was built around it. Regardless, it ended up coming out on quite a few platforms, so whatever you do, play that game if you can. But here is what Michel Ancel said, representing Ubisoft and what they're looking to do going forward. He says, working on Rayman Legends was a nice early holiday. So we are going to make serious games now. Beyond Good and Evil is a good candidate for making a real serious game now. Interesting quotes overall when you consider the Beyond Good and Evil 2 sort of details that we have been following the last, what would it be, 6 years now, I think. So it's an interesting quote because in 2008, it was either at E3 or it might have even been at Tokyo Game Show, one of the big conventions in 2008, a teaser trailer, a CG teaser trailer that was very bare bones, released that was basically saying Beyond Good and Evil, a new game in the series is being made. And people got really excited, which makes me happy. I got painfully excited. Like I was freaking out, just chomping at the bit for that. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. The trailer doesn't show a lot other than Jade, a car on the side of a desert road seems to be broken down. Jade is I think sitting on the hood of the car, and she's like meditating quietly. You never see her up close. You just see her from behind. Paige is sleeping, like they're just kind of broken down and don't know what to do. And there's just a funny moment with a fly that he's like, almost breathing in as he's snoring. It's a funny, quirky video. It doesn't really give you any information other than, look, here's these two characters from this game that a lot of people loved. We're probably going to make a new one. That was all it was. I mean, it was really short, nothing special, but it was certainly nice to see. And it got people really excited, like I said. So, and then since then, the game went completely dark. There's been scant rumors here and there. Every once in a while, you could find like a rumbling, I should say, amongst the industry or people from Ubisoft or even Michel Ancel itself talking about, yeah, it's a game. We're still, making it. It's kind of in development, I promise, but we'll talk about it later. And that was literally the most we got. Maybe in the course of 6 years, 2 or 3 times ever did we even hear anything like that. The Wikipedia page for the game basically refers to these few quotes, so you should definitely check that out if you're curious. Very, very interesting stuff. Yet for some reason, it's like, I don't know why they were never dedicating themselves to making it, nor would they ever say for sure, yes, we're making it, or even no, we're not. I mean, why not just say one or the other? It was a risk for them to consider making a sequel because, like I said, the first one was sadly a commercial flop. I'll never understand why, but it just was. So, the game went dark, and that's kind of been the details for a long time. There was also apparently like a gameplay leak that came out, I think around 2010. I've seen it. It just seems to show Jade kind of running through the streets of what looks like an Arabian kind of, like a poor district of a city. It looks like a city you would see on Earth, but it also looks like it would fit within the world of what the first Beyond Good and Evil established. So it worked for what it was. It was hard to tell if it was real or not. By all accounts, all my research has actually told me that it is probably real, which is pretty cool. But it's like a minute and a half, nothing special, no dialogue, no story, just Jade running and doing a bunch of acrobatics. The end. That's all it is. Regardless, still pretty cool. So that brings us to today. This news, all of a sudden, he's almost treating it as if they hadn't already been working on it. When he says, oh, Beyond Good and Evil seems like a good candidate for making a real serious game now. Well, duh. You've been trying to tell us that for years, and we've wanted it for longer. So what's the big deal? Why did it take you so freaking long to say this, But whatever. I digress. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. It's far more important to just know and hear that they want to make this game and are probably going to be making it going forward. We would live in a blessed, wonderful world and time if it actually does happen, considering the commercial failure of the first. Like I said, they obviously know that there's a market for it, an audience for it, fans for it, a game that people want to keep experiencing in a world and characters we want to keep experiencing. And because of probably the success of Rayman and to a much larger degree Assassin's Creed and a few other properties like, Splinter Cell and things, they're doing well. Dance Central, I mean, they make a lot of money. Ubisoft is on top of it. ZombiU, one of the most fantastic games in a long time. They really are on top of their development kind of craft right now. They've obviously been making buku bucks. They're going to be making more with 2 freaking Assassin's Creed games coming out this year. They've got the time, manpower, and resources to make this game awesome. They're going to make Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's just interesting because it makes me wonder if any of the previous information that they've ever said about if it's being made or not, and the teaser going all the way back to 2008, if there was any credence to that at any point, or if it was just complete smoke and now they finally feel, oh, we should make that game because everybody goddamn wants it, you know? It's very, very curious the way he basically lays this stuff out. Regardless, this is what Michel Ancel says. This is what Ubisoft seems to be doing. While it's still not a 100% confirmation, it seems, you know, I feel pretty good about it. Maybe it's the fan in me that's just dying to have this game come out, but I'm taking any news like this as fantastic, wonderful, great news. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to make sure that the original teaser from 2008 is linked below. You've probably seen it. Most people have, but just in case you haven't, or if you want to relive it, you should check it out. It's like 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, like I said. It's nothing special, but it's cool at the same time. Also, I hope that you've really enjoyed the footage of the first game that you're watching, because it's an amazing game. And I just want as many people as possible to be able to play and experience both the first one, which you can go download for probably just a couple of bucks on Xbox Live or PSN, and get really excited for Beyond Good and Evil 2. So my last thing comes down to you guys. What is it you think about this news? What is it you think about Beyond Good and Evil? Kind of as a franchise in a universe. Did you play the first one? Did you like it or not? What do you think about the idea of part 2? And do you think that this news has any sort of, you know, backing, or do you think it's more smoke being blown up our skirts? You know, hopefully it's not that, but, you know, overall, what is it you guys think? Well, alrighty, that's all for the awesome potential Beyond Good and Evil 2 news for today. Super, super pumped, you guys. I'm just like crapping in my pants, hoping that this all pans out. So I guess probably going to be another 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years, but it's going to be well worth the wait if we end up getting this game in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Of course, if you like what I'm doing and you like the channel Rule of 2 Review, you can please feel free to subscribe to the channel, which helps us out big time. You can like and share the video. You can share your comments and your thoughts about Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Ubisoft below. Of course, follow the links down below for to the Facebook page and the Rule of 2 Review Twitter. Once I hit 200 subscribers on Rule of 2 Review, which we're getting really close to, I'm going to conduct a Facebook contest for some free gaming stuff, free money or free game or something like that. I'll do something cool. I'll make it worth everyone's while. So, you know, do what it is you need to do. Hopefully you dug the video and the news about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I will catch you next time.